when a skeletal, disease-ridden puppy stumbled onto the set of Deadpool and Wolverine in July 2024, everyone expected security to quickly remove the animal. But what Ryan Reynolds did next would not only save a life, it would expose a side of Hollywood that most people never get to see. Before we dive into this incredible story, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers around the world. And trust me, you need to watch this story until the very end because what happens will completely change how you see celebrity kindness. It was day 47 of filming Deadpool and Wolverine at Pinewood Studios in London when production assistant Emma Walsh noticed something moving near the craft services tent. At first, she thought it was a plastic bag blowing in the wind. But as she got closer, her heart nearly stopped. A tiny puppy, barely 8 weeks old, was trying to eat scraps from the garbage behind the catering area. The little golden retriever mix was so thin that his ribs were visible through his matted fur. His eyes were clouded with infection, and he could barely lift his head. "I've worked on film sets for 12 years, Emma later recalled. "I've seen a lot of things, but nothing prepared me for how heartbreaking this little guy looked. He was literally dying right in front of us." The puppy had somehow wandered onto one of the most secure movie sets in the world. Pinewood Studios has multiple security checkpoints, high fences, and constant surveillance. How a starving puppy had made it past all of that was a mystery no one could solve. Emma immediately called animal control, but they were overwhelmed and couldn't arrive for at least 4 hours. The puppy needed help immediately. That's when she made a decision that would change everything. She called Ryan Reynolds' personal assistant. Most A-list actors have strict policies about interruptions during filming. Their assistants are trained to handle problems without bothering the star. But Ryan Reynolds was different, and his assistant knew it. Within minutes, Reynolds appeared at the craft services tent, still wearing his Deadpool costume, but with the mask pulled off. What he saw stopped him cold. The puppy was trying to eat a moldy sandwich, Reynolds later told reporters. But he was so weak he kept collapsing. "I've never seen an animal in such terrible condition." The puppy looked up at Reynolds with cloudy, infected eyes and tried to wag his tail. The effort was so weak it was barely visible, but it was enough to break the actor's heart. "That's when I knew I couldn't just wait for animal control," Reynolds said. "This little guy needed help right now, and I had the resources to provide it." But what Reynolds did next shocked everyone on set. Instead of calling his driver or having an assistant handle the situation, the multimillionaire actor picked up the diseased puppy with his bare hands and carried him directly to his personal trailer. If you're already loving this story, smash that like button. And don't you dare click away because what Ryan Reynolds did in that trailer will absolutely amaze you. Inside his trailer, Reynolds immediately got on the phone with Dr. Sarah Mitchell, London's top emergency veterinarian. But Dr. Mitchell was in surgery and couldn't leave for at least 2 hours. "I'll bring him to you," Reynolds told her, not hesitating for a second. What happened next stunned the entire production crew. Reynolds, one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, stopped filming on a multi-million-dollar movie to personally drive a dying puppy to the veterinary hospital. "I remember thinking, this is insane," said director Sean Levy. "We had 200 crew members, expensive equipment, and a tight schedule. But Ryan just said, the puppy comes first," and walked off set carrying this tiny, sick animal. The drive to Dr. Mitchell's clinic normally takes 45 minutes in London traffic. Reynolds made it in 22 minutes. "When Ryan walked into my clinic carrying that puppy, I almost didn't recognize him," Dr. Mitchell recalled. He was still partially in his Deadpool costume, covered in fake blood and makeup. But all he cared about was this little dog. The examination revealed the worst-case scenario. The puppy, who Reynolds had already named Baxter, was suffering from severe malnutrition, multiple infections, and what appeared to be early-stage pneumonia. His chances of survival were less than 30%. "Most people would have been devastated by that news," Dr. Mitchell said. But Ryan just asked, "What do we need to do to save him?" What Reynolds did next would cost him thousands of dollars and completely derail his filming schedule. But he didn't hesitate for a second. "I want him to have the best possible care," Reynolds told Dr. Mitchell. "Money is no object. Do whatever it takes." Baxter was immediately admitted to the veterinary ICU. He needed round-the-clock care, for fluids, antibiotics, and specialized treatments that would cost more than most people's monthly salary. But Reynolds wasn't done. While Baxter received emergency treatment, the actor made a series of phone calls that would shock everyone involved. First, he called the production company and personally paid for the lost filming day, a cost that exceeded $200,000. Then he called his wife, Blake Lively, who was in New York with their children. "I found him, Blake," Reynolds said in a call that was later reported by his publicist. "I found our fourth child." Blake's response was immediate. "Bring him home." But bringing Baxter home meant something extraordinary. Reynolds arranged for a private veterinary transport, complete with medical equipment and a specialized team, to fly Baxter to New York once he was stable enough to travel. "I've worked with celebrities for 20 years, said Dr. Mitchell. "I've never seen anyone go to such lengths for an animal they'd known for less than 4 hours. Let me know in the comments, what's the most incredible act of kindness you've ever witnessed? I love reading your stories." For the next 2 weeks, while Reynolds continued filming in London, Baxter received round-the-clock care at one of New York's most exclusive veterinary hospitals. The bills were staggering, over $35,000 for the first week alone. But slowly, miraculously, Baxter began to recover. Ryan called the hospital every single day, revealed Dr. Jennifer Torres, Baxter's primary care veterinarian in New York. Sometimes twice a day. He wanted updates on everything: what Baxter had eaten, how much he'd slept, whether he'd played with any toys. Reynolds also did something that stunned the hospital staff. He arranged for Baxter to have a private room with a window view, comfortable bedding, and a rotation of volunteers who would spend time with him so he wouldn't be lonely. "Most people think celebrities are self-centered," Dr. Torres said. But Ryan was genuinely heartbroken that he couldn't be there with Baxter during his recovery. The breakthrough came on day 12. Baxter, who had been listless and barely responsive, suddenly perked up when a volunteer entered his room. For the first time since his rescue, his tail wagged with real enthusiasm. "That's when we knew he was going to make it," Dr. Torres recalled. And that's when Ryan made a decision that surprised everyone. Instead of waiting for filming to wrap, Reynolds flew back to New York for a single day, just to see Baxter. The reunion was captured on the hospital's security cameras, and the footage later went viral. When Reynolds walked into Baxter's room, the puppy immediately recognized him and began crying with joy. "I've never seen a dog react to someone like that," said Dr. Torres. It was like Baxter knew that Ryan had saved his life. But what Reynolds did next was even more incredible. He spent the entire day at the hospital, not leaving Baxter's side. He fed him, played with him, and even slept on the floor of the puppy's room that night. Ryan could have stayed in the most expensive hotel in Manhattan, Dr. Torres observed. Instead, he chose to sleep on a veterinary hospital floor because he didn't want Baxter to be alone. The next morning, Reynolds made an announcement that shocked everyone. He was taking Baxter home immediately. "Baxter's ready," he told Dr. Torres. "And more importantly, I'm ready to be his dad." But the most unbelievable part of this story was still to come. Today, 8 months after that chance encounter on a movie set, Baxter is thriving as a member of the Reynolds Lively family. But his transformation goes far beyond just physical healing. Reynolds has documented Baxter's journey on social media, and the posts have garnered millions of views. But more importantly, they've inspired a movement. Baxter's story has led to over 500 shelter adoptions, revealed Sarah Peterson from the SPCA. People see what Ryan did, and it motivates them to rescue animals in need. Reynolds has also established the Baxter Foundation, which provides emergency medical care for stray and abandoned animals. The foundation has already saved over 200 animals and counting. Ryan turned his spontaneous act of kindness into a permanent force for good, Peterson said. That's the mark of true character. But perhaps the most beautiful part of Baxter's story is how he's changed the Reynolds family. In recent interviews, Reynolds has said that Baxter has taught his children about compassion and responsibility. "Baxter came to us as a dying puppy," Reynolds reflected. "But he's become our greatest teacher about what it means to never give up on someone who needs help." The puppy who once couldn't lift his head now runs on the beach with Reynolds' children, sleeps in their beds, and has become what Blake Lively calls the heart of our family. If this incredible story of compassion and second chances touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing stories that prove kindness can change the world. And I'm genuinely curious, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. I love seeing how these stories connect people from every corner of the globe. What did you think of Ryan Reynolds' actions? Have you ever witnessed or experienced an act of kindness that changed everything? Share your stories in the comments below. I read every single one, and they inspire the content I create. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss these incredible true stories that restore faith in humanity and prove that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can have the biggest impact. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story that will remind you why compassion matters.